Okay, so in today's video about JasmyCoin, I want to check out this recent huge drop right in here and see, are we overall still bullish, and if we are bearish, what are the possible scenarios, and more important than others, is this important support area for now broken or not? So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you are having a great time with your family and loved ones, and let's just dive in and see what is going on. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about JasmyCoin, I believe we were somewhere around these areas, and I was saying, look, this move down seems like that it's actually quite strong, which is not a characteristic of a correction structure. That's why we need to be a bit careful and not jump into any unnecessary bullish conclusion. Sure, we do have a 5-wave up in here, and I still actually stand by what I said. I do think this is a 5-wave on the upside, but I said right in here we need to be a bit careful and also a bit patient. So what happened? Unfortunately, we got a move down, and in it we took this low right in here, and if I just zoom out a bit more, there we go. I can tell you this is still a correction structure on the downside and not an impulse, because overall we are just constantly having overlapping of the waves between our pullbacks. So this is actually a characteristic of a correction, and as long as in JasmyCoin we're not taking this low right in here about, let's say, 1.6 cents, we can remain optimistic. Now, what is going on in terms of classic technical analysis, meaning support and resistances, because these two areas were very, very important supports. Now, the key is this. These are from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And for example, if you want to argue that in this phase we actually got a break of the support, okay, you must go on weekly time frame, see a candle close under here, and then probably a pullback, and followed by that a continuation of the move down. And having said that, let's go on weekly chart. Zoom in more, excuse me, there we go. As you can see right now, we're not even having a candle close under here yet. So what's the idea? If we get a bounce back in the next week or two, we can comfortably say that this was just a very simple fake out, and there is, for now at least, nothing to be worried about in JasmyCoin. Now, if you remember, a couple of videos back, I told you that I actually opened some long positions in JasmyCoin with an average purchase of somewhere around 2.5 cents. What happened to those? Well, you probably know where my stop loss was. It was actually under this low, about, let's say, 1.5 cents. And as you can see, since we haven't taken the lows in here yet, my position is still intact, and I do think that we can definitely, before take this low, get a very strong bounce back and start the next phase of the bull run. Can I tell you that from here we're going to get a move up? The answer is maybe yes. Let's go on 15-minute chart. Okay, so you see, my field of works is Elliott Waves, and if you want to argue that in terms of Elliott Waves, we are going to have our final bottom around here, maybe this is like a very important support, then okay, you must be able to find off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up. This specific example is a normal 5 wave. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of impulsive structure, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And for our sub waves, 5 up into wave 1, 3, and 5. Let's change the colors to white so you can see it a bit better. Okay. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have different patterns. Let's say, sure, an ABC into wave 4, and yep, a WXY into wave 2. And if we can find this whole structure with all the subwaves off of the recent lowest low, it means there is a chance, and again, this is a very important point, there is a chance that the bottom is going to be in. There is no certainty in any market. There are only probabilities. Understood? Okay. Now let's go on the live chart, and maybe it's best to go on 5-minute time frame and see what is going on. So the story in JasmyCoin is kind of the same as a lot of other cryptos, meaning I can actually definitely find an impulse in this area. For example, I can tell you this is 1, this is 2, and then we can have, yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up to about here, or maybe here, doesn't really matter, into wave 3, correction for 4, and this can be another 5 wave on the upside into wave 5, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we definitely are able to find a 5-wave up starting from the lowest low down here about, let's say, 1.8 cents, which is definitely a good sign. Is it enough of a sign to say it with a lot more confidence that we are bullish in JASMY? No, at least not yet. Here's a question. What happens after a 5-wave up? You know it if you are a regular viewer. If we are going to have a bullish scenario, we must have a correction structure on the downside. Now, one very important characteristic of a correction is being absolutely slow and choppy. And so far, I can tell you that we are definitely on track for a corrective movement. Why is that? Let's just compare this move to this move on the upside timing wise. Excuse me. There we go. How long is it taking us to have this move down? About 514 candlesticks. On the other hand, in about half of that time, around 250 candlesticks, we had this big move on the upside. So what's the point? The point is, despite having way more than enough time, it seems like for now at least that bears are kind of failing to pull the price all the way back down to these levels, and we can say, you know what, maybe bulls do have the upper hand. Also, let's use Fibonacci's and see where are we at the moment. There we go. So in terms of Fibonacci retracement, at the moment we are somewhere around the 50% of the Fibonacci retracement level, and I want to be very clear. I am not going to be surprised in case that we see some more downward price action in JasmyCoin in order to reach to about the 61.8, around, let's say, 2.1 cents, or who knows, maybe even the 78% all the way down here around 2 cents. Why is that? Let's just hide everything. Excuse me. Okay. You see, if the bottom is in and we are bullish in JasMy, okay, odds are that this is going to be a wave 1, correction for wave 2, and after our correction is over, we are going to have a big move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And here's a very important point for you. A very important characteristic of wave 2 is usually being quite a deep move on the downside. I'm not saying this is always going to happen. No, it's usually the case. So again, if you see some more downward price action, do not be surprised as long as we're not taking this low in JasmyCoin about 1.8 cents. I think we can remain optimistic. So let's have our final conclusion and wrap up today's video. In JasmyCoin, in my opinion, we are actually in a much better place relative to some other cryptos, including also Ethereum. Why is that? Because in JasMy, before we get this move on the downside, we actually had a very strong bounce back in here, and right now, if you pay attention, we are somewhere around 2.3 cents, which is pretty much the same as where we were right in here back in, let's say, 29th of January. For example, if I go on Ethereum's chart, excuse me, there we go. Where were we in 29th of January? We were actually all the way up here around, let's say, $3,100. And where are we right now? About 10% lower. So technically, JasmyCoin is actually in a much better place when you compare it to a lot of other altcoins. But that's not really what we want to know. What we want to find out is this. Can we argue that the bottom is actually in somewhere around the 1.8 cents or not? The answer is probably yes, the bottom is in. However, again, nothing goes straight up. We need to be a bit patient and wait for some more downward price action. And I'm telling you, as long as we're not taking this low, we can definitely be optimistic and say, you know what, maybe this is the 1, this is the 2, and then we are going to have soon and hopefully a huge move on the upside into wave 3, 4, 5 in order to start the next major phase of the bull run, which in it we are going to take the highest side in this region for the first target around 6 cents. But I told you before, I do not believe that we are going to stop there. No, because in terms of classic patterns, I don't know if you like them, but if you do, I think cups and handles do not get any more clear than this. This is a very classic cup. This is our handle, and soon I'm hoping that we are going to get a massive move up and break this important area. And at that point, well, the targets are going to be somewhere around the 10 cents area, which I do think it's actually possible. So for now, in the short term, we are looking good, and in the long term, nothing has been invalidated yet, so makes sense to still be reasonably bullish. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in JasmyCoin's chart. Anyway, If you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.